phonation types. We have been discussing various types of phonation, and we have concluded that the importance of larynx is unavoidable. We have to describe it fully. So in this session, we are going to discuss some of those possibilities which are in comparison with, of course, those two possibilities which are the important part of English language. But we would also explore some other possibilities and which are also the modifications taken place to glottis and larynx while the speech is produced, right? So the status of vocal fold and the air when it is passing through the glottis is important feature of the description of speech sounds, right? Like, for example, when we are to classify consonants, we need to know three things. One is the place of articulation, like from which place is the sound articulated. And the second possibility for the explanation of consonant is the manners of articulation, like through which manner is the air pushed, right, and the articulation is done, right? And the third possibility is related to this position of larynx, that whether the sound is voiced or voiceless, right? So these are the possibilities which are done through the position of phonation. Four types of phonation is given importance by a linguist: voiced position, voiceless position, murmuring, and creaky voice, right? So these are four positions which are also described by our authors of the textbook. But there are two more possibilities also, like the breathy or the modal position of the larynx, right? So let me show you the four positions given by Johnson and Ledderfoget and Johnson. This is the voiced position, like in burger. The second is the voiceless position, like in k or in p, right? And these are the murmuring position, and this is the creaky position, right? Now, there are other linguists who have studied phonation from different angles. Like, these are the positions which are given by Grady, William, et al., right? So they have discussed that this is the voiceless position, right? The voiceless when the vocal folds are apart. The second is voiced when the vocal folds are close together and vibration is done. And then they also differentiated between whispering and murmuring. Now, if you can see that in murmuring, the air passage is allowed, right? But it is quite broad in the case of murmuring, and then it's a little smaller in the case of whispering. And the vibration is important. You see, this is the vibration of the vocal folds, right? So these are the four possibilities which are also discussed by some of the linguists. And one thing more about the aspirated position, right? Because aspirated position is also important in languages like English, but in our regional languages like Urdu, since this aspiration is phonemic, we need to know further about the aspirated position. Aspirated position is equal to voiceless position. Remember, there is similarity between aspirated and voiceless position. But the difference is that the vibration is allowed when the release of the consonant is taking place. So vibration is during release. So during release, the vibration is allowed. And that's the main difference between the aspirated glottis and the voiceless glottis. So that would help us explain the aspirated sounds more, deeply. Pal in Urdu is basically without aspiration, p, and pal in Urdu is with aspiration, p, right? So that's phonemic in Urdu. Pal means moment, and pal means fruit, right? So what happens is, here in this case, that the aspiration is taking place in the case of p, right? And the difference between the position of glottis in voiceless and aspiration is just that while the aspiration, there is a h, the hushing sound, h is added, right? And that adding of h is taking place when the glottis is open,